Well, hi, Lynn. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very happy to chat with you today. I really am. You help people with navigating grief. Is that right?
I do. I
Yeah.
do indeed.
And as I mentioned just a minute ago, I'm navigating one of the biggest losses of my life.
You'll tell me what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Just telling you right now, I can feel, all the emotions coming up.
Sure. I can see that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, take your time.
Mhm.
Get some tissues if you need them. Yep. There you
Yeah. Of
go.
course, I brought him. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about whom I lost, but I would just say that she was the most cherished relationship that I've ever had in my life.
Wow. That's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a few days ago, actually. Today is Tuesday, and it was on Friday where she passed. And yeah, I cleared out my whole schedule for the next 2 weeks. And but I saw that you and I were talking, so I thought maybe this could be a good conversation to have.
Yes. Yes. So you are just in the immediate throes of shock and pain and all of that stuff that hits you right off.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Did you have to deal with all the legal paperwork and stuff?
No, no, nothing like
Thank
that,
goodness.
thankfully. Yeah.
That's difficult. So what are you experiencing right now?
Yeah. Um, well, there's the immediate physical separation of she's not physically here anymore.
Yes.
And this was somebody whom I've spent for the last, you know, 10 years, just about every single moment of my waking life with.
Mm,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, we did everything together, everything. So when she's not here, of course, it's quite jarring.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Yeah,
is. It's not only jarring to that what you're experiencing, the grief and so forth, that and the thought that she's not here, but let me tell you a little bit about what your brain is doing because it's important. Now, I understand and you need to understand that you may not remember what I say.
hmm,
And you could come back and look at this again later because I know our brain, first of all, we get the brain fog. It is, it emotion really changes our brain. It has to because it's trying to protect us. Okay. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
hmm,
Okay, so we get this fog where we can't think very clearly and that's okay because now is a time for you to focus on your emotional and physical and nutritional well-being.
yeah,
Um but your brain has to adjust too and it does some funny things while it's doing that. It's like you know how you could get up in the middle of the night and walk through your house and not crash into everything?
sure,
Yeah. So your brain has made a map of what the inside of your house is like. It's also made a map of what your life is like.
yeah,
So when something is missing, it's going, "Oh my God, what's going on? That's not here anymore. I have to readjust. I have to make sure this person's safe." And, all those things that our brain does. And it takes it a while to do that. And when you think about the process of grief, we keep changing as we heal. And so your brain has to keep up with that,
yeah,
and it's usually a little behind, so we have to sit with some of the emotion that we're going through,
yeah,
and that is the hard part.
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
So are you feeling that brain fog?
yeah, yeah. It's definitely there. I noticed that I'm definitely not able to think as much, and that's why I cleared out my calendar, and
Mhm.
luckily I have the capacity to do that. And yeah, the emotions are they're big.
Oh, yeah, they're huge. And what are you doing with your emotions?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really allowing myself to have them. I'm really listening to them. I'm really working with them, allowing them to be here, comforting them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having boundaries with some of them too, because the initial thing is the pain is so great that one of the patterns that I've had throughout my life is that I use other emotions as a defense mechanism to keep me from the
Mm,
pain.
yeah.
So something like anger, for instance, I found myself getting really angry about things that were not related to this loss. Well, I mean, I guess they were. So
Yeah, they are.
I
They
would get
are.
I would get really angry that throughout my whole life, I've never had anybody who was there, like a parent, for instance, when I was a kid, to help me navigate hardship and loss. And so that kept coming up, and I saw, oh, this is a defense mechanism that was taking me away from the pain of this loss.
Exactly.
And so then I would set a little boundary with that anger. I'd say, it's completely justified that you'd be angry about this, but this isn't the time to be angry about that.
Yeah, and that's part of what your brain is doing. It's letting those emotions come through, and they seep into other situations. So you think, "Oh, this doesn't have anything to do with it." Oh, yeah, it does, because
Yeah.
you are feeling the emotion of anger.
Yeah.
And, as human beings, we don't wanna pin that anger always on what actually is going on. So it's more of, as you said, a protective device to find something else to pin it on. But yeah, you're doing a great job with that. Do you remember the children's song? You can't go over it, you can't go around it, you can't go under it, you gotta go through it?
I know the saying. I didn't know that that was a song, though.
I don't know, it was a song, it was a little ditty that kids would say. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a little song. So, I mean, this is what grief is like.
Yeah.
We have to sit with those emotions. Painful. Oh my god, it is terribly painful.
Yeah.
But as you sit with them and you try to release them a little bit, you really can't change them much, but let them, as that time goes on, they will drain out.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, I can't tell you it goes away, because it doesn't. It lessens,
Hmm.
and you will carry it much differently.
Yeah.
And part of that depends on your perspective on
Yeah.
all of this. And yours is just really positive. I can imagine you getting through this and having created a special place for this person, whether it's an actual little memorial or a memorial in your heart and your head. But instead of trying to push it away, making it a cherished part of your life.
I've actually already done both of those,
Mhm.
and a part of my practice is, for the last 2.5 years, um, she would get these weren't medications, but they were like tincture supplements that were really helping with some physiological symptoms that she was having. So, more or less every 4 hours, I was getting up with her and getting her
Yeah.
these things. And so, I'm on that schedule. And yeah, now it's just becoming a practice of every 4 hours I just sit for 5, 10, 20 minutes and focus in on, yeah, I guess you can call it that memorial. I mean, I have one in the backyard right now that I've made, and yeah, I just go and sit there and, really focus in on what I'm feeling. And yeah, it's not just the pain's interesting because sadness and joy are like two sides of the same coin. You really can't have one without the other.
That's right.
And so this pain is really the signal of a wonderful relationship.
Yeah. Was it Angelo that said, grief is the cost of loving someone?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
think
absolutely
that's who
right.
it was that said that. It's really a beautiful thing, and it's very true, and I'm glad you recognize that that represents a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and it needs to be honored, which I think you're doing beautifully. Right now, you're dealing with the kind of pain that just, makes you weep all the time. It can be just extremely strong. It can go away a little bit. You know, we were taught that there were 5 stages of grief and that we go through those. Well, I disagree with that completely. Those are there, but we don't go through them in a linear manner.
Yeah.
So you can get to one place and then go back and then
Sure.
forward and then back. And so be prepared for that. And one of the things that kind of knocks you over is that sometimes, especially as you're feeling a little bit better, this huge tsunami wave of grief can just hit you out of the blue.
Hmm.
And that's tough to deal with too, because there you are, doing something and all of a sudden, boom, and you're crying in the middle of something else. And
Yeah.
you're going, what I can't, I don't have any control over this. This just surprised me. I don't know where this came from. That too is part of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Have you
that definitely
experienced that?
oh yeah, yeah. Little memories will come up or little things around the house, all sorts of things will activate that. And yeah, I don't know if I even try to control it. I just, allow it to be there and give it my attention. I'm really trying to build a relation. I have a very strong relationship with these emotions already. And yeah, I'm just really, really connecting and working with them when they come up. And
You are doing the right thing, and I think you are very fortunate that you know about how to do these things.
yeah.
So many people don't,
Well, it
and
wasn't easy learning that. I'll tell you
no,
that.
no, not at all. But you can also see how most people really can't figure this stuff out for themselves.
Yeah,
And the other thing, and I imagine you know this too, is that we don't heal alone. There has to be a support system. Do you have a support system?
I do. There's somebody else here with me right now who's a part of all of this as well, and she's going through it as well. So
Of course.
yes, this is my partner actually, who's here with me, and she really loved and cherished this person who passed as well. Um, so yeah, we're really going through it together.
Okay, so what questions do you have?
What I'm really wondering about these days is, you've navigated these things too, right? I've seen
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I saw that on
Oh,
your
yeah.
your information that you've lost these things, and I've certainly had losses like this before in the past,
Mhm.
and afterwards, I've had connections with people who have passed who it could easily be trumped up to something like coincidence, or it's your mind making connections or things like that, reducing these experiences down to that. But I think that our world is a little bit more complex
Yeah.
and arcane and mystic than that. And I'd get like pieces of information that were not something that I had before or
Mhm.
something that I couldn't have known. And so there was definitely something happening there. I'm curious, have you explored ways to transcend these um, losses in physical beings? So transcending connections beyond physical bodies, for instance. Have you thought about ways to connect with people and interact with somebody that you've lost after they're gone?
Yeah, I have, and what I have found is that starting to talk to them and just sitting with that quietly, waiting for an answer, and eventually you will start getting that. It's a matter of training yourself to kind of be aware and listen for those things.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you can learn how to channel. I've got a very good resource for you if you want to take a look at that. Um, I think that sometimes, especially in the beginning, you are so emotional that that blocks a lot of stuff from coming through. But, I've had visions, I've had, you know, little words in my ears, in my
Yeah,
head, and I think that that truly is normal, and the more we get in touch and aligned ourselves with the universe, the more that kind of, is likely to happen.
same answer I came up to as well.
Oh dear. Well, we're both brilliant. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just so attuned and connected with this person.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, so deep, like, I could form an intention in my mind, and she'd be looking right at me and have the exact same thing. Um, like I
I
said, I mean,
doubt that that's gone.
it's not. It's so hard right now because physically she's not here.
Right.
And yeah, my brain and mind is drawing that connection or that disconnect that she's not
Mhm.
here. But emotionally and the feeling of it is her presence is still very much right here.
Is that comforting to you, or is that not? Maybe upsetting or something?
No, it's absolutely comforting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I saw this coming for years, it was something I've been dreading, but it seems more like it's not a loss and a disconnection, but I've always seen this person as like she was a part of me,
Mhm.
like another manifestation of a part of who I was. Incredible teacher. She helped me grow and learn. And really, the person I am today is largely in credit to her. Um, and it didn't seem like a loss in the sense of a disconnect, but rather like an integration of a part of who I was rejoining me in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Um, so I think that, just letting that continue to happen, and as your brain kind of calms down a bit and the emotions calm down a bit, I think it'll probably be much stronger.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, these things, it's so strange. I'm wondering, in the past, I wouldn't have been able to go through this the way I am right now. These emotions would have been so overwhelming, and going back 10 years ago, it probably would have been life threatening for me in lots of ways because, well, I was suicidally depressed for the vast majority of my life, and this is the person who really helped me through that. Um, yeah. So I don't know. My mind is still so foggy. I had something I was gonna ask you about there, but
Let it pump back in.
it'll come back
Um,
around.
you are aware that you are not only suffering the trauma grief right now, but also the anticipatory grief. You knew eventually this was coming, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, that compounds,
of course.
and it can, I guess the thing that I want to say is that when you have any kind of thoughts like, I could have done this, I should have done that,
Regret.
yeah, those, or anger, or whatever it is,
Yeah,
those are not true.
yeah,
Those are not true. And so, your brain is trying to figure things out too. And so these things come up, but then that's not true. And I believe that we do the best we can with what we've got at the
of
moment.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course we could always do a little better, but yeah, I found myself going down that same path, and I very much caught it very quickly because, I mean, I showed up for this person. She was the like I said, she was my most cherished connection that I've had in my entire life, and she was always the first thing that I considered with anything that I did in my life. Everything. Everything that I did was for her. And, so yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, when, the night that she passed, of course it was, well, I wish I would have done this with her beforehand, or I would have done that beforehand. And then very quickly I was able to comfort myself and say, you did do all those things
Mhm.
over and over. And even when we were getting closer, it was, I kept having that where I was saying I should be doing more. And then it was like, you've done all of it already. All you need to do is just relax through this and just be with her.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was absolutely there. It still comes around, and I'm very aware of it and able to work with it. What I wanted to ask you beforehand that I forgot and then remembered now is, as far as I can tell in this world, death and passing seems to be one of the guarantees of this world. As far as I can tell, I don't know if there's, a secret occult society that has the ability to be I don't know. I can't say for certain, but I think that the overwhelming majority of life in this world will transform and pass. And so it seems kind of strange to me that something that is so guaranteed and deeply embedded in the nature of this world would then elicit such a painful response to this natural process. So I'm wondering, is grief an indication that we are disconnected from our nature in a certain way as living human beings here?
I think we are, and that's a great question. Um, Part of it is that we have no education, training, explanation about what this is about. There's a taboo about it in our country. You don't
Yeah.
talk about, these kinds of things. And so we haven't integrated that into us as human beings. Now we know that there are other cultures that look at it as a passing that needs to be celebrated, and the ancestors are very, or people that are gone are very revered, and
Yeah.
so that those cultures have a different response, different kind of response, because
Hmm.
they were integrated that way.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a series on, what other cultures, can teach us, and if you look on, LinkedIn, you could probably find those if you're at all interested, but,
Hmm.
it's up to those of us who are working in this area to try to educate people,
Yeah.
and for you, you're in the midst of it, but it's still something you need to do with other people. They come and they say, "What can I do?" Well, that's not you're gonna say nothing. And even if you think of something, you usually will probably say nothing, but, or people say, "I don't know what to do," and it's important to say, "You don't have to do anything, just sit with me."
Yeah.
Yeah, "Just give me a call on occasion and let me know you're thinking of me." We have to train people. Because the reason they don't do these things is they're afraid they're gonna do something wrong,
Yeah.
because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, and they have some emotion too around it. And whether it's for the person that's gone, whom they may or may not have known, but certainly for you.
Yeah. Yeah. This is getting back to disconnections again. And
Mhm.
yeah, we're so disconnected as a society. And yeah, I mean, I come from a lineage of medicine workers who very much worked in this same area of seeing a larger picture and transformations. And so much of that has just been lost over the generations. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right that we don't have any training or any education. In fact, it's almost like it's suppressed in lots of ways, almost
It
intentionally
is.
and
It is.
maliciously.
And I remember as a child, I must have been maybe 9, My grandmother passed unexpectedly, and she
Mhm.
was just so dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And, we had to go to a different city, and my mom and dad left me with my mom's sister and went to the funeral, and I was just really distraught, and,
Yeah, you were
you
left
know, I was
alone.
lying on a couch crying, and my aunt came in, she says, "Get it together and go and play with the other kids." Well, I have remembered that, the hurt that that caused
Yeah.
all these years.
Mhm.
She didn't mean anything bad by it, she was trying to get me to do something that would make me feel better.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just the way we are doing it, and then if we make a mistake, we tell people about the mistake rather than the good things, so that reinforces it.
Yeah. Yeah, when this loss happened and I was, immediately after, and I was just laying in my bed, just crying. And my partner, she's sitting next to me and, she's got her hand on my back. I had this moment where something very similarly to what you just described happened to me when I was, 13 years old. My grandmother passed, my maternal grandmother. And this was a very stressful time in my life. When I was 12, my mom got married for the third time. And, this is the fourth man in 10 years who either got married to her or had a kid with her. So there was a lot of abusive relationships that were coming along. And when she had a kid with this guy, shortly after, she threw me out of the house. And it was a really, really traumatic kicking out. Middle of Michigan winter, at night, she kicks me out. I sleep in a tool shed next to a landfill that night.
Oh my goodness.
Um, and then I go and stay with friends until I can get to my dad's house. And then my dad takes me to my mom's house to pick up some of my things like 5 days or a week later. And it was like one of those movies where the ex girlfriend throws all of your belongings out into the lawn. All of my things were outside. She just throwing them straight out the window. And the thing that hurt the most was I had an aquarium with 4 turtles in it, and she put them outside in the Michigan winter, so, 2 of them had died, and so I come to see all of this, and then I'm grabbing the aquarium and putting it in the car and putting on the heaters, trying to warm them up. Um, and so then, like, 3 months later, 6 months later, my grandma dies,
Oh,
and, I didn't have anybody in the family who was ever nice to me, ever kind to me, ever welcoming, but my grandma, she was the nicest one, and then she died. And my mom and I obviously were not talking at this point, but I go to the funeral, and um, after that, I go back to my dad's house, and I'm just in the house alone. There was nobody there, and I was just sitting there listening to the box fan in the window. Um, and an aunt of mine came over because she had heard what had happened, and she kind of sat with me for a couple minutes and then just left. And again, I was just completely alone
mhm,
with just such, it was just compounding trauma and grief from all the separations of my
exactly.
mom. No, and now I'm living at my dad's house just completely alone. He's never home, just an empty house. I'm just this 13-year-old kid, always alone and dealing with this loss. And so when this happened now, today, I'm laying in my bed and this person who had just passed is with me as well. And we're also going deep into the past to this part of me who was all alone with such overwhelming grief and able to comfort that part of me as well. So, despite the fact that this is so painful and so difficult, there's so many beautiful healing moments in this, not just from the things that are happening now, but the things that have happened all through my life. And that's been the gift this person's been giving me for the last 16 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really amazing and gorgeous. I just, I love that, and I'm so happy for you that you have that.
Yeah.
Um, it's like trying to make your way through thick fog,
Yeah.
and, There will be many, many times when you are alone with other people around,
Yeah, of course.
and that's a very weird feeling, and it's hard for other people to understand. How could you possibly be lonely? We're all here. Well, that's not the point. It's a
Yeah.
different kind of loneliness.
It's so much more intense too because you can be around people and be so isolated.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so painful. I think the vast majority of people in our society today know exactly what we're talking about with that.
Well, one thing I experienced, I don't know whether you have, but the loneliness pain sometimes felt physical.
Sure.
It hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to sit with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, this is an interesting dynamic that we have too. Again, and going back to what you were saying earlier about education, teaching is nobody ever really teaches us how to navigate pain or
Oh,
emotions for that matter. And so we avoid them. And if we get into a situation like this of loss, these emotions are here and they need to be worked with immediately. And if we don't have the capacity to do that and we repress them or bury them or distract from them, yeah, they compound and they
they
stay
do.
there.
They do. And we know that it has been, I think it's in the DSM now, that there is such a thing as death from grief. I can't remember what they call it, but it's
Mhm.
been documented now that, this can happen if we don't deal with it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this gets where it gets really interesting. Yes, humans absolutely can die from heartbreak. This is well known.
exactly.
I used to work in I worked in medical research for several years, and part of it was in dementia. And yeah, you would see that. You would
Mm,
see a bonded couple. One of them passes, the other one passes shortly after from the
that's right.
heartbreak. And this kind of goes into what I was asking earlier: is this a result of us being disconnected from our nature? And where I'm really starting to question that is, well, we see that in animals as well.
We do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Elephants in particular.
Elephants, chimpanzee, monkeys of
Mhm.
all sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dogs who are really
Dogs.
bonded to their
Yep.
humans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's we think we know how to interact and love with somebody, but we're just on the surface. And so I think that's one of the reasons, because our body knows, our genes and stuff, all that's passed down. So we know at some level, but we don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, but that's the way it's working.
And there's so much in this world that we don't know. We don't know anything about our history. We don't know anything about our origins. We don't know anything about where we're going. Most of us have no idea of why we're here, what purpose, what meaning there is. I gotta say, one of the main questions that I've been working on is throughout most of my life is how to reconnect with who we truly are and get back to that nature. And
Mhm.
so I focus so much on my career on the things that disconnect us, the traumas, the ways that we adapt to the traumas. But this situation right here, I found has just been really inspiring me to get. It's motivating me and inspiring me in so many ways to really start to get back into figuring out what is the true nature of who we are and where we are, and what is this incredible thing that we call life that so many of us just drift through going to work and then paying our bills and then sleeping.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I do, and I think you probably have already begun doing this over the years, is to help people unpack all the garbage that they've taken on as a result of expectations and
Mhm.
society, because that has to go before we can really understand who we are as
Exactly.
individuals. And the more we know ourselves individually, personally, as a entity, the more we're going to be able to deal with stuff like this.
Yeah, getting to know ourselves. Yeah, see, that's so hard, like, through this grief for me, for instance, with that example I gave earlier, seeing that part of me that still carried around that pain from and I've worked with that part of me so much. I have a relationship with that part of me. All of those years where I carried around all that pain and I was all alone, I didn't have any, I have a relationship with that part of me and I can connect with that and work with that when it comes up. In fact, most of the times I can identify the triggers, the things
Mm,
that are going to activate it before it happens. So I'm already working with those parts of me before
yeah,
they get activated. But I think that if I didn't have that, if I hadn't built that relationship with that pain that's inside of me, and then it gets activated from a painful situation like this current loss, it can
right.
just be so overwhelming. And like I said earlier, it would have been life threatening for me 10 years ago.
Yeah, it would have. I understand that.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's another reason why I think that the education is so important because most people don't have that.
Yeah.
And so then they are just suffering.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lynn, the other day something came into my mind when I was sitting by my memorial, just doing my practice as I do, and just paying very close attention to my inner state. A thought came through, which was when I was 18 years old to like 22 years old. I got my own apartment right when I turned 18. I wasn't going to live in my car anymore, or couch surf. I was going to deal with the instability. So I get my own apartment. And for those like 4+ years, 6 years, all the people my age are really trying to pay attention to and learn from what I'm doing because they're living at home and they want to get out of
Yeah.
their house. And they're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this guy's living on his own. He's doing it. How is he able to do that? And well, the way I always saw it was, I've always been doing this. I've been on my own since I was 12 years old. So while everybody was in the education system, public schools, learning about plate tectonics, I was learning how to survive in the world. Ah,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. When I went back to college, I had to teach myself how to read because I didn't know how to read. I was borderline illiterate. But I knew how to survive. I knew how to go
Yeah.
through all those hardships. Oh,
Yeah, it seems like it seems like this overwhelm is just I don't know another word, it's overwhelming. Um I want everybody to know though that everything we've experienced in our lives and learned is inside of us and is there to help us in times like this. We don't recognize that we have the strength and the understanding and so forth, but it's there. And it's
absolutely.
really important to um to find somebody who will take you by the hand and walk you through this process because it's so
Yeah.
hard for us to do it for ourselves.
When it's almost impossible to do it on your own because it's like putting together, a 10,000 piece puzzle when you're looking at it from just an inch away. You
Exactly.
can't see it when you're in it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. We're not meant to do these things alone.
No. Healing doesn't happen
Yeah.
alone. So,
Yeah.
um, that's one reason why I have hate love relationship with some of the early grief groups because
Hmm.
sometimes they're not well run and they're allowed to degenerate into a pity party.
Yeah.
But it's important to be with people who understand, and that's the thing. Find a group that has been through this. They don't have to, go over it and over it and over it. That just seats it deeper in your brain and memory. But dealing with the emotions together,
Right.
talking about ways that they have found individually to make something feel a little bit better, and then someone can take that and adjust it for themselves and so forth.
Yeah.
But that's an important thing.
Yeah, there's a big difference between ruminating and dwelling and reliving the thing over and over,
Exactly.
just torturing yourself. There's a
Exactly.
difference between that and processing,
Yes.
soothing, expressing, comforting. Yeah.
Yeah. Big difference. And so many, leaders of so many of those groups don't know. They don't know better. They don't
Yeah.
know any better. They've been many of them have never even been through this kind of an experience. Many of them have been tapped to say, "Hey, would you do this?"
Hmm.
You know, you need to have a lot of insight into human behavior and some education.
You got to go through it yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
And you got to walk it yourself. That's something that I think, yeah, a lot of people I see all over the place is people looking for help, looking for assistance, and then finding people who say they do it, but they can really make it worse in a lot of those groups, a lot of the systems. I mean, I'm working with somebody right now who is a recovering addict to very hard substances, which I mean, I think everybody's addicted to something right now.
Oh yeah.
Um, but she was, she's off of the substances right now, and she's getting ready to do a retreat in Mexico, a psychedelic retreat. And so I'm helping her prepare. And she goes to her doctor to get, some blood work and an EKG. And her doctor prescribes her like 3 different muscle relaxers and some stimulants as well, just for the hell of it. And that's just what some of these people do. And the doctor is, taking an oath to do no harm. But as you can see, there's different interests, and
Oh
he
yeah.
he thinks he's doing good. He's doing what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
Probably, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. But man, how harmful.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something that is such a sinkhole
Yeah.
in this whole arena. But let me let me just go a bit up forward if you'd let me.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't deal with people when they're in the midst of this terrible pain
Mm-hmm.
because they can't think. And what I
Sure.
do with them is work at the point where they start to be cognizant again. They're
Mm-hmm.
able to make some decisions, and
Yeah.
then we work on clearing all of that psychological garbage, all of the self-limiting beliefs and realigning values and
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff that has to be done. And then I prepare them through a lot of self-knowledge work to know who they really are so that they can start thinking about what they want their next chapter to be. And that's where I really shine with people because then they can create
Mm-hmm.
that next chapter that fits them
Yeah.
and will support them. And then I put them in a sort of a mastermind group of other people on the same journey, and they help each other actually step into that new life.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that is truly missing in
Yeah.
in grief support.
In our society in general,
Yeah.
everywhere you look, the idea of having fundamental awareness of who you are, um, what your life is like, and what you want it to be like, and who you want to be. Right,
Mhm.
the awareness of that it's missing almost entirely.
Totally.
And then
Totally.
the agency aspect of what can I do to take responsibility, accountability, and make actions in this
Mhm.
in order to then liberate myself from these old patterns.
Right.
It's almost like it's the complete opposite. We have, $1 trillion sectors of the economy that are based on the premise that you're not good enough. So buy
Well,
our product
yes.
and then you will be good
Yes.
enough.
And so many of us have that. I'm not good enough as children.
Almost every,
So
yeah,
it just exacerbates that.
yeah.
You might be interested in this. I'm part of a movement called the Ungrind movement, and the
Hmm.
whole idea is put a stake in the sand and say, "This is what I want my life to be like," and then you wrap your business around it.
Sure.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, "Oh, blow my mind. Of course that's what I want."
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's pretty much what
it's
I did too.
foreign.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Back when I was, let's see, this is probably 15 years ago, 14 years ago now, when I was really building a relationship with this person who just passed. Like I said, my whole life went through the lens of her first. And so, I mean, I'm back in university and I'm thinking, how can I build a lifestyle that would allow me to do very specific things like have freedom of schedule,
Yes.
right? Be able to have control over how I spend my day, not have to be in a cubicle all day, not be under
Right.
fluorescent lights. How can I do things that are stimulating and engaging, interacting with the world around me, while also connecting with, of course, her and other people? These were all things that I really wanted to focus on. And yeah, once you really look at those key dynamics, then all the other things kind of start to build around that.
They do, and we don't, and it's just so much worse with all the computer work we do, but we
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
how to create relationships anymore.
Relationships. Yeah. That's right.
And so that's part of knowing who we are too.
We don't relate with ourselves at all. In fact, the relationships that we have with ourselves are usually very um, painful,
Critical,
critical,
painful. Yep.
evaluatory, judgmental, punitive,
Yep.
harsh.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we're a little off what you need. So let's go back and
Yeah.
let me ask you again, is there anything else that you need that I can help with?
I didn't really even know what kind of intention I was going to have for this call other than to just work through, talk about what the grief looks like for me right now and show people what this is like and how we can work through it. Um, so honestly, right now I feel I have the sense that all of my needs are really fulfilled and met right now. I don't know if there's really anything that I need. If, how about this? And if somebody is listening to this right now and is either navigating the loss or the anticipatory loss that's coming up, um, or is going through something similar to what I'm going through, what kind of message could we send to them?
I always fall back on the message that you have been equipped through your life. It's in there. And we just need to know how to tap it or find someone that can help us tap into that strength that we've got and not to try to push away the pain and grief because you've got to deal with it. People say, "Oh, how fast can I get through this?" Well, we have to go
Yeah.
through it. And there's no time limit on it, but
Yeah.
you do better if you can deal with things this way.
Yeah. So there's a belief I want it to go away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So badly.
It's really interesting hearing you say these things, Lynn, because you're saying the exact same principles that I have, just in other words. I always tell people all the wisdom that you need to heal and to be whole, it's all inside of you. And all
Yeah.
we need to do is reconnect with it.
Yep.
Uh,
Exactly.
and these emotions, whether it's pain or anger, fear, all of these are signals. They're all here. They're messengers. They're coming with lessons. They're teaching us something
That's right.
very important. This pain, I mean, one of the things that it was teaching me, I was very aware of, like I said, I was aware of this day was coming. I dreaded it for so long, but I knew there was going to be a
Yeah.
threshold where I was going to have to cross. And the crossing would be I was going to lose this person. And for, years on top of years, every moment of every day, I thought through that lens and said, if I was on the other side of that threshold, I've already lost her. What are the things that I wish I would have done? And I would do all of those. So this pain was a messenger telling me there are things that you can do right now that will alleviate that pain, that regret that's going to be coming up later saying, I wish I would have done all these things. Well, you can do those right now, and then you won't have any regrets.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll still have pain though.
Pain. Yeah. And I mean, like, and those beliefs of unworthiness that we all got, I've of course got them too. I work with them. I have a relationship with them. They don't have control over me, but they creep back up in sneaky ways. And so when this pain was coming up, it was you were wasting time those last couple days. You were doing these things. You were distracted over here. And I say, okay, yes, I did do some of those things, but I can't dedicate 100% of my attention to this one thing all the time. I dedicated 80% of my attention, and that was fantastic. And she was so happy and grateful that I did all of that. She approved 100% of everything. And so really being able to recognize those things and work with them has been crucial for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just wish so many more of us had the wherewithal to understand this and help ourselves better. But we don't. That's why there's people like me in the world that want to help people through it in a way that's very healthy and set
Yeah,
them on a path that is totally supportive of who they are. And then I work with flow. So what do you need to be? What's the environment have to be to support you because you do things this way?
yeah,
And we don't have that in our lives.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. And it's so important that people like you are out there doing this. I mean, again, the reason why I'm able to navigate this the way I am right now is because I've worked with people like you in the past. I've had teachers, and this person whom I lost was, like I said, the main teacher of my life.
Yeah.
She taught me how to do so much of this. But I've had other great teachers too, and it's so important to find that. That's like a major part of our life is to go out into the world and to find experiences and people who, like you said, can help bring that wisdom that we have inside of
Mhm.
us, that power that's inside of
Um,
us, and to reconnect with it and, of course, hone it and develop it more.
yeah, and it's incumbent on us as individuals to look for the opportunities that are deep opportunities, not the
Yeah.
fluff that most of the stuff is out there that
Yeah.
you don't, excuse me, walk away with any making any difference.
Right.
Um, and so I think that's another thing that we need people to understand is really be careful before you go and interact with a program or a workshop or something
Hmm.
to make sure that it's not fluff. It
Yeah.
needs to be deep.
That's right.
And we're often afraid of that, but
Hmm.
it's the way we learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many programs and teachers even who masquerade as the answer that you're looking for. I mean, we see all these spiritual teachers right now who are like in the Epstein list and things like that, who were,
Oh yeah.
talking about spiritual bypass, but they were using spiritual bypass to, yeah, do all those nasty things. We see it all over the place. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And we know too, we know when we're interacting with something like that, we get that gut intuition. And if we can really listen to that, reconnect with it and listen to it, yeah, we can identify what's right and what's not for us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Lynn, this is incredible. I'm so glad that we got to talk today. Like I said, I canceled all of my appointments for these 2 weeks, and I was looking at our conversation. I was like, that's very interesting timing. I'm not going to let that one slip by.
Well, I hope it's been useful and helpful to you.
Yeah,
Um,
and who knows who's listening to this right now? Maybe
right.
going through something very similar, and it could be helpful for a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely. And let me offer you something. I I have a platform that I started to launch, and there's a glitch that I can't fix. And my techie person is in Japan for 2 weeks. But anyway, it is my company is called Women. Women Rising Together, but it's not just women.
Mhm.
Although this platform is a community platform called womenrisingtogether.org, and it has all sorts, it's being built, so it's not totally full, but it's got all sorts of people who are experts in fields that can support folks going through this. There are videos, there are articles, there are going to be workshops. There's a whole section of tools, that interactive tools that people can use when they don't have anybody to talk to and they need to understand something, or they need something that will give them a little bit more control over what's going on. So, I will send you the link to that, and give me a couple weeks till I can get this fixed, and you're welcome to get in there and play with it too.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that very much.
And your significant other. I
Yeah.
just want to welcome everybody to it because I think it's got some potential to be so helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Would you like me to link that in the description here for this
Sure.
episode too? Yeah. Are there any other resources that you'd like to mention or that you'd like me to link where people can find you or anything that you're putting
Yeah,
out?
I've got a couple of things that they can download that will be helpful early on in the process.
Hmm.
And just to get them thinking, something that, like, how you help somebody else. How well, it's called how people who are grieving help their friends and family know how to, what to do, kind of thing. And then another one is a little workshop that can be done personally, on next steps to moving forward. So I'm
Very good.
glad to send those to you.
Yes, please. I'll gladly put those in the show notes for anybody
Yeah,
who's listening.
so they can just download those.
Very good. Um, is there anything else that you might want to add before we end the call here?
Just that, I just this is my life mission, and it grew out of my losses, my
Yeah.
experience, my life experience. Um, and I just finally decided, as I was going through this grief, wake up, girl. You've got all the experience and background you need. I've got a doctorate in organizational behavior, so that's psychology of how people work. I've spent years dealing, being an executive coach, and I thought, "Geez, you can help people." so so that's why I got into this, and it's my life mission.
Do you still work with people one on one, or are you in
So
groups or?
both, both.
Okay, great.
I like groups because I think, we talked about it. You don't heal
Hmm.
by yourself.
Right.
There are some things though you need one-on-one for. They might
Hmm.
be personal, they might, you know. So yeah, I kind of mix it up. I'm one of those persons that reads studies all the time, and then I take what I think is really important and kind of put it together with what, I'm very eclectic. I put things together to make sure they really work.
That sounds very helpful. I'm glad that you're doing this. It's really interesting to hear how many similarities we have in our backgrounds and our education and everything, and how, again, we've come to very similar points, and yet they're so unique to the way that you describe it and the way that I describe it. But it's seems like it's almost the exact same path. I'm
Yeah,
so glad that we got to talk today.
I am
Again,
too. Thank you so
when,
much.
when when I saw this on the calendar, I said, "Yes, this is a call I'm not going to let slip by." I'm glad it was great timing.
Great. Absolutely. And, feel free to keep in touch with me.
Yes, please. And for anybody who's listening, if you're going through something overwhelming or painful, loss, grief, here are lots of resources to reach out
Right,
for
right. And
help.
it's not just the grief. It's loss of a job. It's loss of
Yeah,
a friend. All of those things trigger the grief process.
that's right. Yeah. Well, here's some really fine resources so we can get some help on that. Thank you so
Okay,
much,
great.
Lynn.
Thank you.